Maggie O'Brien, Executive Director of the Middletown Arts Center. This year we are celebrating 20 years of providing award-winning arts programs in Middletown. We are thrilled to present the work of Toby Gowing, Middletown resident and book illustrator. The exhibit, Toby Gowing and Illustrations, features nearly 50 of her illustrations spanning from 1980 to 2010, as well as her still life paintings. During this video tour, Toby will discuss her process of book illustration, give background on select pieces of work, and insight into her work experiences. We hope you enjoy it.
My name is Kate Hammond. I'm the Reference Department Manager over at the Middletown Township Public Library. And with me today is Toby Gowing, local Middletown resident and Young Adult Book Illustrator. Toby has about 50 illustrations on display at the Middletown Arts Center. So how did you get started in drawing?
Oh, in just drawing? Well, ever since I was a kid, I'd pick up a pencil and draw. I just did, and nobody thought I was doing anything special or good. And we were, my family, we were okay. We were middle class, but there wasn't a lot of money to throw around. So I never had access to like nice sketch pads, good, we had a simple watercolor set, that kind of thing. But and also nobody recognized my ability at that time because I was younger. But I just started drawing everything, but mostly I drew horses because I love horses, and they are wonderful to draw and paint. So I just drew all the time, and I remember my parents used to say, like when I would finally, like I won an award, or I did something, they said, "Well, Toby only draws horses." So I don't know. I just started. In the public school, they had some art teachers, and then by the time I got to middle school, we had some art teachers who understood a little bit more about art, and I just, and also I read, again, I went to the library, and I said, what I always do, I go to the library and look it up, right? So I got some books. I didn't get at the kind of books that tell you how to draw every single thing, with a ruler and all that. I don't even think that's helpful. But I had books that I looked at, and as I got older, I took out the old books of the old masters, and then I would trace them even, and that helped me. So I've just always gone my own way, and it felt good, and I felt like I was getting somewhere. I continued it.
That's awesome. And so when you were reading all the books and taking out books from the library, is that how you got started with like the illustrations?
No.
Book cover illustrations?
No, the reason I got into illustration was, well, first I had to get my training, so I'll have to back up. I went to Pratt Institute, and I had a 4-year training in painting, drawing, fine art, and illustration. I wanted to be a fine artist. I never thought of illustration. But when I took the illustration courses, I realized this would be a good way for me to make a living. Yeah. And that's what I did. Happily, well, Pratt's in Brooklyn, and the publishing business was in New York City, right across the water. And at first I just went from place to place and knocked on a door, and they said hi, goodbye.
On publishing houses?
Yes. Yeah. But then, since I went to Pratt, and we lived in an area there. There were other art students that I knew as I took classes there. So one wonderful friend, his name was Derek James. He's still Derek James. He is a very prominent landscape painter, and he was doing, I forgot what he was doing, the same kind of thing I was, but he was getting more work because he's more accomplished. And anyway, he led me to Dilys Evans, who became my agent. So she found me the jobs, and once that was settled, everything went much easier.
Kind of just fell into place after that.
Well, all I had to do basically was, like we said, do you have to read the book?
Yeah, right. Did you have to read the book before you did the illustration?
Yes, you have to read the book.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to read a book, stay out of illustration, book illustration anyway.
Yeah.
So, so she knew I was still coming up and learning, and she just got me some jobs. I worked and I did better and better. And that was it.
So who were the models for your illustrations?
Any kid that who seemed like they did have to fit the description in the book. In other words, some kids are really big, others aren't. Some have I don't know.
Defining features or something like that they might have needed.
Well, in other words, for example, if you notice, you only see one race here. That was the time. So now I would say, let me get some black kids, let me get some,
a little bit more diversity.
There was no diversity in the field at this time. So it was just unheard of, which I'm ashamed of, but what can you do?
Well, yeah, that was the time, unfortunately, yeah.
So, this boy was, the family, he's the nephew to the family who basically lives across the street from me.
Oh.
So, he knew, I knew him through the family, and he posed, and I paid him. And that's the same family that's over there, in the corner, that's the Pesach meal. Those kids were from there.
So they were all kids from your neighborhood mostly?
Yes, they were. Yeah. I didn't have to leave and go anywhere.
That's convenient.
Well, it was good also because where we were living in Pratt, there really weren't very many kids around. So it was, once in a while you could find someone, but mostly no. But once they know that the kids learn that I would pay them everything, they would come. And I made sure that I introduced myself to the parents, and then they knew each other from the neighborhood. So it was a safe environment.
Yeah. Were the kids excited to see themselves on the book covers once it was all done?
Not only were they were excited, but a lot of times the mothers said, after they got that, they had so much more self-confidence.
Aww.
Like they felt like they were almost like a movie star or something.
That's awesome,
Yeah.
Especially considering the age of most of the kids of what they look like. That's like that prime time where they're growing up and stuff. So I feel like that would have been good.
It was, and it gave me a lot of good feeling and stuff. So
that's fantastic. So Toby, how do you prepare for your illustrations?
Well, I think the easiest way for me to explain this, because I'm so visual, is if we walk along and talk about some of the pieces that are up, and you'll be able to see it too.
Perfect. After you, lead on.
We're going to be talking about a book called The War of Jenkins' Ear, and here is a book. This is the book, The War of Jenkins' Ear. And the first thing I have to do is read the book, so I can understand what's needed of me from my work. As an illustrator, I bring a different level than just hearing and thinking. I'm bringing imagery into the pot. So what I want to do is have an accurate representation of what's going on in the book, but I want to present it in such a way that it really reaches the reader. So that's how I look at it.
So you really take a lot of description that the author takes, that the author puts in the book, and then you take it to put it on the page.
Well, I guess I would read his description because this is just one image. I don't know what happens over here and over here. Right? So I pick one prominent image that illustrates what he's writing about, and then they decide if they want it or not. That's basically it. So this story is about a boy who's in a private school in Britain. And he's, for some reason, I can't remember exactly why, he's not too popular. You can see there's groupings here of boys. And what happened was his ear got cut, and it healed up right away. And that's what happens in the original story about this. A sailor's ear was cut off, and he put it in a jar of a glass or something with some kind of disinfectant in it, and he kept it with him. So it was sort of like looked at as something unusual. unusual or something. Meanwhile, this, whatever the word, disturbance was going on. So when it happens to him, the other boys became very disturbed, and they claimed he was trying to be the second coming of Christ or something like that.
Oh my.
So that's why he's in the water. It's sort of, I can't remember, because it's been a while since I read it, but it was something like a baptismal feeling. And also, that's why I painted kind of a glowing
You
look.
can tell, yeah, I was just about to say that.
Yeah, in his face. And I love him. He looks like a Kennedy or something.
He
like
does,
that.
yeah. one of the royals in Britain, yeah.
Right, and also the way Jesus might stand, like this. And so those are the clues I give to people through illustration that can help enrich them in their understanding of what's going on.
That's really interesting. One other fast question. So when you're giving the illustration to the publisher, do you have to give them multiple pictures, like different scenes and backdrops, or do you really just do one and then?
Well, you start with a sketch,
okay.
Because if you don't get it in the sketch, at least you can put all the work of doing the finished work. So I would give them probably something like this.
Okay.
And then we'd have a discussion or whatever. But mostly, mostly I would listen to people and try and work it out if I felt I did something wrong. But I think here we have to stop and talk about there's a hierarchy in publication.
Yeah.
So for me to explain more, I'd have to tell you what that is.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm happy to hear it.
Okay. So I was saying to understand better how this all works is that there's definitely a hierarchy of publishing. And at the top is the publisher. Okay. I think I once shook hands with a publisher. That's how close to the publisher I got. But basically they own the place, I believe.
The head of the company.
Yeah. Okay, after that comes the editor. Okay, the editor is like the captain of the ship. They know about all the books, they know all the people, they know who's working, they try to keep it together, and they make a lot of decisions. Okay, I would have some interaction with the editors, but not much. Next is the art director. Okay, the art director is my friend. They respect you as an artist because you got the job, and they will, if they catch you that's the wrong word, if they see maybe you're going off a little and you don't realize it, they'll point it out kindly, and if they like something, they'll tell you. So it's usually if you got a good art director, you're going to be okay. So that's their job, is they're in charge of the art, and they don't have anything to do with what's being written in the book. Okay. Then comes the author. I try at all costs to avoid the author.
Oh, really?
Yes. Because this is their baby.
Right.
They've been writing it, and you read it and I'm interpreting it my way, right? Or I'm painting it or drawing it. And here's a perfect example. There was no mention of what color this kid's hair was, right? And I made him blonde because I just moved to Middletown, and after New York, everybody in Middletown was blonde. So I thought, kids in Middletown, he's blonde.
Sure.
So she was so upset. Oh no, he has brown hair. Was there ever a mention in the book, a description of him? No. So
it's images in your head,
Right, but it's to me, it's like, but you didn't even write it. Isn't that important? So anyway, I said, okay, so I repainted the hair, and so
it looks good.
Yeah, I think it looks really good. So that's a kind of a typical thing with the author, or they'll say, oh, they don't look like that, or it wasn't that way. And so I just tried to avoid them.
So the majority of the hands-on work, the collaboration, that was mostly with the art director.
The art director, and then my agent.
Okay.
Yeah. My agent.
That's interesting.
Still a sentence.
Yes.
So here's the pencil sketch. So you can't. I think people think that artists just go from a blank canvas to just start in the upper right-hand corner and work down.
Work your way down.
Right. No. Well, maybe somebody does that, but these are the preparatory sketches that I had. I got this kid to pose for me. I kind of described what was going on. I kind of encouraged him, showed him how to pose, and he's standing in he's actually in his mother's swimming pool.
Oh, that's so funny.
Right, because I didn't happen to have a lake near me at the time.
Of course, yeah.
So he just, so it was very interesting to me. When I started doing this sketching, I was more used to doing painting, right? So I was more so focused on how you render like waves, colors, all these things, and then I had to get the same impression, but only with pencil.
Right.
So how do I do that?
Yeah.
So here, for example, remember we got the glow there?
Yeah.
I did that with scrubbing the paint or removing it a little. Here I used my eraser.
Oh yeah, I got it.
So he's kind of got the halo glow.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's basically it. Now I'm much more, I don't think I'll be painting again. I'm done with it, but I'm really, now that I've started looking at all these pencil sketches, I want to continue, but just drawing.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I guess, you change your interest throughout, time.
Well, it was, with all this painting, I always had a structure. There was a need for a story. I mean, there needed to be a picture with a story, so I could do it, but just to, I just don't have so much interest in it to come up with something that would interest me enough to really paint it.
Yeah, that's interesting. So do you want to take me around and show me some of your favorite works in here?
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
All of these.
So you said before this girl with the yellow jacket is one of your favorites?
Yes, I love it, and I'll tell you more of the story. But this I do not believe this was taken in Middletown. I think it is maybe Marlborough, somewhere nearby. But I don't think it is. I just can't remember. And unfortunately, I don't remember who she is. Or actually, now that I think of it. I had graduated from Pratt, and all during that time when I was working at Pratt, I was living on Clinton Avenue in a house with Dan, and I think that's how I met her from there, because I remember I paid her too. That's my jacket. Yeah, and I had got it from, it was like, I thought it might rain, so I was wearing it, but it wasn't raining, and so I lent it to her, and I think that's my shirt too. So she had her own hands.
Are they your bunnies as well?
No, those are, well, okay, this is This Solitary by Lynn Hall.
Okay.
She does a lot of young adult novels, very popular. And this was a 1986 Scribner's publication, and because of this I looked it up, and there are a lot of other jackets that don't look anything like this.
Yeah.
And they're not as good.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you can see all of the wrinkles in the jacket, and the color is so vibrant.
Well, also, there's something about this picture. I mean, when Dan and I hung the show, he said, they're going to come in this way, and they're going to come here, so we're going to have something really good here. So I said, well, let's do the three girls.
Yeah.
Right? And I've seen people, they do what I do. I just love to stand here and soak this in, and people just stand here and look at this one.
Yeah.
They look at all of them, but I think, well, here's a clue. I have a friend who's a retired military, okay? And I had sent him, we're in touch by phone, by email. So I said, look, I got this great show. I'm going to send you pictures.
Yeah.
So he said that in the military, a lot of officers take this stance when they want to do something. Right. It's a stance of
giving an order or something.
Yeah. And I'm Polaris. His name is Polaris. And it's so funny, but she's really. She
looks like she's intent. She's about to go on some.
Don't you want to see what's over here?
I do. I want to know what she's staring at so intently.
Well, one of the things I like about this, I'll explain about the rabbits in a little bit, but I like I was able to blend the hair the way I like with the brushes, and they look like they're glowing. Yeah. There's color in the background, the trees, and I don't know, there's an atmosphere there, and you get a feeling of atmosphere, and this is a girl who's determined.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason she's there, I forgot why she left her family situation, but she's raising the rabbits for food. So she's going to sell them.
Okay.
So that's why they're there. Because she is a girl who has to make a way on her own.
Right, yeah. That's interesting.
But mostly I just think that, and then
She does.
yeah, and the light was here.
She's strong, you know, she
Yes,
has,
she's
she has some sort of way about her in that, yeah.
The difference.
Yes.
This is a privileged girl.
Yeah.
She lives in the neighborhood. That's her sister. And the one with the rabbit, the magician, that's the third one.
Oh, yes, okay.
Yeah, so those are all sisters.
I see that one. Definitely 1980. She's got the starter jacket on. It's great. I love that.
I know. You got to look at this. It wasn't easy painting this.
Oh gosh, I can imagine all the detail.
Yeah, and that was the lace curtain behind the door. We were on Kings Highway, which I live here. We just walked up to this. I think this was Madeline Lopez's house, and we just walked up on the porch and asked her for the door.
Yeah,
she closed.
That's awesome.
She's got that look.
Yeah.
So that's her again.
Oh, the same
girl.
Oh, nice. Okay. Definitely a different book, for sure.
Yep. I don't remember what this one. Oh, it's called The Treasure Bird. You could look up the title, but I know I painted that.
Yeah.
I don't remember about the bird.
Yeah. Well, I see that you have some of the actual book jackets here, so
Right.
if people come in to see the exhibit, they can read some of the summaries.
Right, they can see what the stories about.
Where did you say there was a magician down here?
Oh, yeah. This is the
This is such an amazing exhibit. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for taking the time to show us your works today.
You're welcome.